right. How's it going, everybody? I've always wanted to do a tier list, and I've loved Resident Evil for a very long time. It's one of my favorite series. I got a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions. Seemed like a lot of fun, so yeah, let's get into it. So, the original Resident Evil. Very flawed, very prototypical, very rough draft, very classic, very memorable, not very fun, very respectable. It's hard. On paper, it's probably like a C, but because of years of respect, lineage, what have you, it's probably a B. And I don't know how to cut the difference here, ladies and gentlemen. This is, already we're having a tough decision here. Uh, C. C. I just had to. Here, let's add one. Did not play slash finish. I think that's a good one. Good way to put it. Oh. My bad, my bad. Add a row above. There we go. Alright, everything's fixed. Let's continue. Alright, Resident Evil 2. What hasn't been said about this? It's a masterpiece. I played it immediately after playing the remake, played it like 4 times in a row. The dual campaigns creates this like unique relationship between the campaigns, the options, the things that affect each other. You can screw the next campaign or make it easier for you based on your choices, like the Uzi and the locker. There's traps early on in the game, giant spiders in the tunnels that were cut from the remake. It's a great game. It's an incredible game. Hideki Kamiya, man, he like before his platinum pedigree, of course. This dude took a horror game, did a sequel to the horror game by a different guy, and then knocked it out of the park by making it an action thriller. He turned it into an action game. Like by the end, you're just blowing shit up. You're an action hero. It's cool as hell, and it has everything you want in a Resident Evil game: horror, action, thrills, and fun. Now, a lot of these games fumble some of these elements, but this one, to this day, is, not hyperbole, peak Resident Evil. It's going in S. That's what you want. Oh, and the music in the original RE2 is fucking phenomenal. Not so much the original Resident Evil though, especially the DualShock version with the broken encoded music. It's terrible. All right, Nemesis, easy B, great game, but it's not a masterpiece like 2. It's 2.5. It's shorter. It's dumber. It's fun. It's less scary and more gross. Like the giant worm is gross. The fact that Jill gets wounded a lot in like her thighs is like gross. Like there's a lot of body horror in this game. Nemesis himself is a body horror figure. He keeps mutating, transforming. There's a really cool fight where that was cut in the remake where he's shirtless and it's kind of like a Yakuza fight. He's got a bazooka. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Um, Not much to say about RE3 though. It's simple, but effective. And of course, it was a spin off turned into a mainline because greed. And not much else to say. It's awesome. Code Veronica. Did not play / finish. I got stuck on the island like most people and moved on with my life. But I've researched the game. I know a lot about it. I have the HD version. You know, I don't have much to say about it. I'm awaiting the remake like everyone else is. And I will go back and play the original. I love Claire Redfield, you know, shouts out RE2. So it's cool she got more very early in the career. Because, you know, we know in later games she's nowhere to be seen. Outside of Revelations 2. Shout out Chris and Wesker. Alright, 0. Did not finish. I got to the mansion and realized about the whole no item box thing. And so I dropped it. It's like, why would you not only do no item box for no inventory, like make inventory bullshit, but also do 2 playable characters. So I have 2 inventories and 2 item boxes to navigate. That's horrible. That's awful design. No one wants to do that. And of course, a lot of it being like very much, you know, cut and paste from RE1 remake. Billy's a cool character though. The prisoner. Rebecca Chambers is nice, I guess. She's boring. She's a boring character. We like Zinger, but she's not an interesting character. It's just cool that she didn't die, I think. Like she did in the OG RE1, depending on the campaign, of course. The weird lore. Alright, the game we all came here to talk about, RE4. It's S. There's no question, like 2 and 4 are just slam dunks. They're slam dunks. They do everything they set out to do and more so. And more. Like tenfold. They cover so much ground, nail so much of what they set out to do. They're fun, they're scary, they're thrilling. They give you a sense of adventure. The music's phenomenal. They look great. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, nearly flawless games here. RE4 helped create the third-person shooter genre as we know it. It got a million different ports. There's a VR version. There's a Wii version. You know, there's so many versions of this game. Everyone's bought multiple versions of RE4. It's just like, I call it the Godfather of video games for a reason. Or the Citizen Kane. Like, everyone's like, yes, it's a masterpiece, you know? It's pretty much unanimous for a reason. RE2 OG is more like, if you're into OG or Resident Evil, then this is the masterpiece, right? And I'm into both of these flavorings of Resident Evil. But if you're like a Joe Schmo, never played Resident Evil, 4 is the one. You know, it transcends all the others. In fact, can I put it in front of it? Yeah, there we go. I think that's fair. Like, the perfect old school Resident Evils 2 and the perfect action Resident Evils 4. Like, tank versus shooter. Third-person shooter. Very fun. Very fun. Okay, well... RE5... where do we begin with this one? This one... Here, let's put it back down. RE5, depending on who you ask, is either the best in the series or one of the worst in the series. It is a product of its time more than maybe any other Resident Evil. This is a bro shooter from 2009 designed for dumb jocks. Like, this is not Resident Evil. This is a linebacker in Africa is shooting voodoo people. Like, it is dumb. It is boring. It is tired. It is if Resident Evil 4 got a permanent concussion. That's what because it's not completely like the worst, you know. In fact, we're gonna add another row below this. F, because it's not an F. RE5 is like effective in certain ways. It is, you know, if RE4 is anyone can play it because it's a masterpiece. RE5 is anyone can play it because it's fucking stupid. But it also has some of the design from 4 carrying it. I think I should give some context here for RE5. I played this the day it came out, 2009, 360. My friend and I did split screen co-op. We got 3/4 in, and we just never picked it up again because it was so boring. We like it like I don't know what else to say. We were playing so many third-person shooters in that era that compared to them isn't up to snuff. So you're like, okay, how is it as a horror game? Well, it's not a horror game. How is it as a Resident Evil game? Well, it's not even really a Resident Evil. So then, if you just look at it critically, objectively, what the hell even is RE5? Exactly. And that's why I think it's going to be a weird one for them to remake. They may skip it because it may not even need a remake. Like, what is there to salvage? All right. Oh, and here, special story for Resident Evil 4, the masterpiece that it is. Resident Evil 4 was the first game I ever bought on my own. I took birthday money, went to a third-party like mom and pop shop in the town I grew up in, and the creepy old guy sold me the game. GameCube exclusive, first week. And I only bought it because Nintendo Power gave it a 10 out of 10. Now, as an adult, we know better because the propaganda magazine would give every Nintendo game a high rating so people would go buy it, right? And this was a Nintendo exclusive. But for once, the propaganda machine was right, and I bought that masterpiece. It took me months to understand the game and get used to it, but once I did, I binged it and then beat it at night, like 10 p.m., which was late for a 10, 11, for an 11-year-old. And then once I beat it, started it over at night. You know, went to bed maybe 11:30, but, you know, started over. Leon in the RPD outfit. New Game Plus. Did the village again. Cakewalk. Yeah, man, it's a masterpiece. Everyone loves RE4. And then, yeah, so that's funny. For 4 and 5, I have these stories of, like, buying it, playing it, and they're so different. 4 is, like, love at first sight. The hype. Living up to tremendous hype, overcoming the hype, and being one of the greatest of all time. And 5 was just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, you know? 5 is not lightning in a bottle like 4 is. Alright, let's move on. Revelations. The 3DS one. It's a C. I want to be nice and give it a B. It's not a B. It's a C. It's simple. It's okay. It has some cool moments. The story's weirdly the high point. The story's never the high point in these games, so that's weird. But for once, the story's the high point. If you ever wondered about the BSAA from 5, because they're barely in the later games, they just like cameo stuff. Revelations is the BSAA game, and you get more Jill Valentine post RE3, so like that's great. Because she's like barely in Vive and exits the series after that. It's disappointing. So Revelations is like fan service of Jill, and then BSAA like 3 and 5, and worth playing once if you're a mega fan. And everyone says if you played on 3DS it was a banger, but guess what? I played it on the HD remaster and it was simple as shit. It was like if BioShock was mid. I definitely got some BioShock vibes. Not in a good way. They didn't nail it. They didn't nail it. All right. 6. D. I don't think 6 is the train, like, it's a train wreck. It's bad. It's, hold on. Yeah, no, I'll put an F. It's a fucking mess. You got, like, doesn't the game, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the game have like 4 or 5 different, like, game directors? Like, the lack of a cohesive vision, like, shows you why this game doesn't know what it is, why the fans reject this game, why this was a game made for the diehard fans and everyone rejected it. Everyone. And the logo, the 6, looks like a woman giving a giraffe a blowjob. Look at that. What are we doing here? Leon looks like how he does from those really bad CG movies. Chris looks worse than he did in 5. Wesker's son's cool. Helena's okay. Return of Sherry Birkin's dope. But it's a here's the problem. For all the good that it does with its complex combat system that the fans of this game, the 50 that love this scream and shout, love to say that it has a complex combat system. Well, how does a complex combat system save a game that has horrible level design and enemy placement? You're still bored to tears. It doesn't change anything. All it does is make mercenaries kind of interesting. But the enemies are so whack in this game. And there's a lack of feedback. Like when you hit someone in 4 or 5, there's going to be some sort of reaction or this or that. And in 6 it's there's this hollow non-reaction and then enemies just kind of die and fall over. And this lack of cohesion to the arcadey, what is supposed to be the arcadey free flow combat system is ultimately ruined 6. Even though there's so many crazy dives and quick shot, all these weird tech you can pull off in 6 that came back in 8 of all things, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean it's a mess. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna come here and defend 6 because that's the hip thing to do now. No, it's really bad. My beef with 5 was fumbling the sequel to 4, and 6 isn't. I don't even see it as the fumble of the sequel to 4 or 5. It's just straight up its own horrible fucking thing that shouldn't exist. And it did train wreck the series, and they did have to reboot shortly thereafter, so remember that. Okay, Revelations 2. Never played it, because I thought the first Revelations was boring, so it seems like the second would be a chore if it was a co-op only Last of Us style buddy puzzle shooter type thing. It just seemed really derivative, man. I did not. Look, I hear by some people it's good. It's actually on my list. I'm gonna play it. It's probably the next Resident Evil I'm gonna play next to Code Veronica, actually. Not 0. Fuck 0. I have no desire to go to 0. But yeah, Code Veronica and Revelations are the 2 I'm gonna play next, because people, there's some good there. Even I can notice that. Alright. We're on to 7 after all this time. 7. It's fascinating. When this came out, people were like, masterpiece. And then as time has gone on, people are like, it's a one and done. Meaning, you play it once, it's phenomenal, but you never go back because it's such a linear one and done experience. It was never really designed to be replayed. Which is almost a first for the series. Because if you think about it, all these games are sort of designed to be replayed. They have all these bells and whistles that are tweak the return for the player. But with 7, that's not the case. And that can be viewed as a bad thing. that first playthrough is crazy good, but the return is duller than Revelations. So, hard to say. Talk about high highs and low lows with this one. I'm going to go with A. Because it is the scariest game I've ever played. Like, top 3 scariest games. We've got RE7, Alien Isolation, and PT, I would guess. Still haven't played Silent Hill 2 or 3. But, this is a scary, scary game. I stress, maybe that's why I don't want to replay it. But again, scares aren't as good the second time around because you know that they're coming. And if this whole game is designed around that, that probably plays into the lack of replayability. But it's still a banger. Like, it has to be seen to be believed. Village. Easy B. Easy B. People really hate on this game, but I think it nails what it does. But it peaks early. Like, the Heisen. But here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people hate the second half of this game, and I do agree the second half is weaker than the first half. But I never hated the second half, and when I replayed the game, I found the second half, like, more fun on the replay. Because I took it in more. The machine factory and the mech fight and all that weird stuff. And the Chris part. The Chris part in third person is so much more fun than in first. In first person, you're just like a wrecking machine, and in third, it's like I feel vulnerable, like Chris is there, Yeah, it's a cool game, and I like that 7 and 8 are sort of a duology, and we don't, not everything has to be a trilogy or an 8-part epic, so I like that. I heard Ada Wong was cut from Village. That sucks. Love Ada Wong. Yeah, I could see how Village is boring, but like there's not much to say. Like, yeah, he tries to find his daughter, and then he does, and he defeats evil. He defeats the residents of evil at the village. Like, there's not much to say. The connections to Umbrella with Spencer, Oswald Spencer, was really cool. Like pre RE5 even. Like we're going even further back in the lore. Um, So yeah, great lore. Overarching story weak, but the lore was great. The lore made up for the weak main plot, I would say. But it's interesting how 7 and 8 are now, people are kind of flip flopping on them. But I still think they nail what they set out to do. All right, Requiem. Didn't play it. It's very new. It's very new. I haven't played it. Looks great though. I watched a playthrough. Looks fucking great. Looks very fun. Looks very scary. It's like 7 and 4 remake had a baby, I like those games. All right. Let's do the remakes. I think it's time. One remake. I got to the end of the Jill campaign and I just stopped playing because I just found the game to be a chore. Now, is it a banger? Yes, I would put it in A. Absolutely. I just think RE1 just isn't for me, guys. I just don't think it is. I like the mansion setting, but I just find it dull and boring, and I'm just bored to tears. But the remake rips and is beautiful and adds and changes so much. Lisa Trevor, the Crimson Heads, like, need I go on? The redesign of the characters, it's such a great remake and lays the foundation for an even better remake that we will talk about shortly. So, this is one of the most important games. It showed that remakes in video games can be good, if not better than the original. And it also shows you that if you didn't like the original, you'll probably dig the remake. Even though I found it a chore, I still put in a lot of time. I got to the end of the Jill's campaign, guys. I got to the lab and then just stopped because I was like, I don't care. And I've seen the ending a million times on YouTube. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like, it's so effective, even me, like a non lover of it, will still give it its roses. So, should tell you everything you need to know. Alright, Remake 2, S, easy S. I still think the original is better because they cut a lot of stuff for the remake, but then the remake does some stuff better than the original, but I still think the original is better music. Yeah, I mean, RE2 Remake does so much as good as the original, does a couple things better, but does a couple things worse. So it kind of evens out as being as good as the OG, maybe slightly under. And I'll tell you, this game was so good. You know, I told you RE4 was so good that as a child, I did New Game Plus immediately. Well, RE2 Remake was so good that when I beat the game, you know, the fourth time, sixth time, whatever on the most of the two you can do, I was like, I popped out my copy of 2 on my PS3, played it, beat it 4 times, loved it, liked it more. And I took my knowledge of Remake to the OG and it served me well. So, like, it, like, taught me about the OG. It's crazy, you know, like, how these games, the language, the language of the gameplay survives the remake. That's incredible. Unfortunately, not all remakes can be bangers like 1 and 2 remake. And now we have the remake of 3. A game for the longest time, like when I first played it, I'm like, that's not an S, but I'll give it a B. And then when I replayed it, I'm like, yeah, that's a C. And then I replayed it because it's such a short game. Every couple of years, I'll pop it in, you know, because it's a fun action movie demake of the OG Nemesis. This is a demake. This ain't a remake. This cuts so much. It's a movie version in terms of how little it is by comparison as an adaptation. It's a D. It's behind 5. It is. It's if the OG Nemesis went full stupid mode. We lose boss fights, areas, complete enemies, characters. Everyone's talked about it, you know, the music's like flawed. They try to throw in almost Lost Plagas type enemies from 4 to kind of bridge the gap between 3 and 4, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The only saving grace is the redesign of Carlos to look like John Wick is cool as hell. And Jill redesign is decent. You know, she looks okay to good. But her OG outfit looks great in, you know, HD. You know, in the realistic graphics, we love that. And of course, her beret outfit from OG and Remake 1 is like, so the costumes. Yeah, this game's a cash grab. It was rushed. And it's, I would say, 5 and 3 are maybe the most disappointing. 3 remake. 5 and 3 remake are the most disappointing Resident Evils. Because 6, we was already downhill. You know, we knew it was gonna be bad. But 5 should have been as good as 4, and it wasn't. And 3 remake should have been as good as the original 3, like 2 remake, or how remake 1 was better than OG. You know, like for the first time we got a remake that was worse. And that made them look so bad that they took so long working on 4 remake. And after playing it, I can say that it is an A. I don't think this is a masterpiece. I think, like 2 remake, it's like OG 2, it's better than its remake. But it's very interesting. You know, on paper it's better. That's the thing, on paper. But the flow of the combat is different. The breakable knives is cool, actually. The the physics engine has a different feel and flow to it. Um, it just doesn't feel right saying that 4 remake is better than the original 4 or better than 2 or 2 remake. There's something about how it feels. Even though they recreate almost everything from the original because they knew they didn't want to get criticized like 3 remake for cutting so much or 2 remake for cutting some things. That they only cut very little things, added some things, and in fact, it has probably the best DLC in Resident Evil history. The Ada Wong Separate Ways DLC for $10, being as long as it is, and being objectively better than the original Separate Ways, which I didn't even mention because it sucks. The original Separate Ways is like 3 remake. It's like rushed cash grab. It's nothing. But the remake Separate Ways is like puts in things that they missed in the base remake and fixes things and adds a lot, and maybe has a couple bad boss fights but has a couple good boss fights too. So ultimately, I can't put 4 games in S. It doesn't feel right. I think we need 3 and 3 here. I think this is proper. And as time goes on, I think people are going to turn against 4 remake and say, actually, it's kind of sloppy and lazy because it kind of is lazy. I don't want to call it sloppy, but it is lazy, right? Like, you're creatively, what is done new here other than parrying with the knife? Exactly. That's the only new thing that they added. Okay. People saying, "Oh, photo mode, guys," or New Game Plus, guys. That's been in so many games that's just copy and paste at this point. Let's be real. You can't, just because the OG didn't have it, that's not a plus. Just All right. We're done with mainline, meaning we're on to spin-offs, and I don't have much to say, so let's go into hyper mode here. Survivor 1. Rented it as a kid, bored as hell, saw the AVGN of it. I think that's an F. Survivor 2. I actually played this, the PS2 version. It's F. It's straight F. One of the worst things I've ever played. Oh my gosh. Dead Aim. Rented it as a kid. Got a quarter in. Very bored. It doesn't know whether it's a tank control or a Survivor. Like, this game doesn't know if it's Survivor 2 or, like, a mainline Resident Evil. It's caught somewhere between those two extremes. So yeah, it's also an F. Actually, you know what? I think I'm being mean here. No, they're bad. They're bad. I know bad when I see it. Alright, Gaiden. F. This is one of the first games I ever emulated. I got halfway in. The music's grating. The pixel art's amazing. The gameplay sucks. But Leon's in it. And it has a cliffhanger where he's infected, and that's it. That's all you need to know, but it's horrible. Outbreak. Banger. I don't know if it's the top of C, or, you know what? Let's be nice. Outbreak 1 and 2 get B. Because they're dope. They're ahead of their time. They're infinitely replayable. They just don't have the production value of, like, mainline. And so some things slip through the cracks. But it's the novelty of these games make it, like, as good as mainline. Like, look, it's the only spin-offs I put in B for a reason. Umbrella Chronicles, top of C, very fun game, really cool. It's like the way to play Code Veronica. Oh, no, that's in Darkside Chronicles. Sorry. Umbrella Chronicles is the way to play RE0. Because you can play that whole game in a, Time Crisis-y manner. And it's actually fun. And you can play through 1 and 3. RE0, 1, and 3 in Umbrella Chronicles. And that's fun, a different way to play. Darkside Chronicles. I was actually about to replay this. But all I know is the screen shakes a lot and it's hard to aim. but in some ways it's better than Umbrella. So current, and I did rent it back in the day like Umbrella, but I remember not liking it as much. But people go back and forth, so you know what? It's like right there. It's like right there. Mercenaries 3D. People do not know or talk about this. This game rips. I played this. I brought my 3DS to the DMV once because I had to just, wait there for hours. And I'm telling you, I played and unlocked 80 to 90% of this game and had the time of my life sitting at the DMV. So, like, what does that tell you? But it's just the Mercenaries. But it's a fusion of Mercenaries 4 and 5. Just it weirdly doesn't have Leon, but it adds a lot of other stuff. So I think that's B. Because if it's between 4 and 5, right? Technically, I think it fits here at B. But it's not mainline, and I think it goes behind Outbreak because it's just such a simple one. You just have mercenaries, It's simple, but effective. Put some respect on the mercenaries, son. All right, Operation Raccoon City. Rented this. Didn't like it. I'd put it. Yeah. I don't even know if it's an F. I just thought it was like bad to mid. Like, 3 remake. Umbrella Corps F. What is there to say? It's horrible. It shouldn't exist. Resistance. I think Resistance could have been cool as hell, but because they didn't support it or have faith in it or evolve it or whatever, it went from a cool, like, indie type horror experience, like some Friday the 13th meets Dead by Daylight with some, Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, it had a lot going on, but it was so sloppy in its execution that I think it's D. Like, I think there's some, like Operation Raccoon City, there is something there that, even though they're bad, people liked them and played them for a reason. Is 6 an F? Yeah. It lacks the vision. It lacks the vision. Alright, in reverse. Horrible. Dog water. It's like Resistance, but worse. And, I keep debating. Tier list is over. I had a lot of fun. This was fun. We'll go over this in a second, but I just want to say I keep debating on, like, whether 6 deserves to be an F or it deserves bottom of D. But I like that each tier gets its own representation from mainline. And of course, purple, like violet purple, like it matches the logo. I think that's funny. I just think it's so similar to 5 that if I hate 5 so much, then 6 isn't so different, right? But 6 is such a long, like, there's 4 campaigns that are long as hell. So it's a worse game because it doesn't know when to quit. There is such thing as too much, just too much. So here's the thing. At least Operation Raccoon City had brevity compared to 6's, like, TMI overload. Like, why are there 4 campaigns? Why do I need 4 perspectives on the same event if that event is written like dog shit? And who gives a fuck? Yeah, I think as a 5 story is bad, but it's a strong enough through line for an action story. 6 has nothing. There's not even intrigue in 6, and I think that's the ticket right there. Like why 6 is universally hated the most out of all the main lines. And it's bad spin-off quality. I think that sums it up. 6 has bad spin-off energy, yet it was the most expensive RE to make at the time, I think. Like it's an impressive blunder. And I am looking forward to playing Code Veronica, Revelations 2, and Requiem. Because I know, like, just speculating here, I'm thinking Code Veronica, if it, as at worst, it will be C, and at best, it will be B. Revelations 2, I think will be somewhere between C or B. People really dig that game. And I know Requiem's going to be like an A. Or a B. Depending. Because it's flip-floppy, famously. Yeah, that was fun. It's never in doubt. 4 from the beginning was going to get first. I knew this. And 2, too. It was obvious. And I always thought I was going to put 4 Remake on S, but I think it's... it needs to carry A. It just makes sense, It was too derivative. Like, 2 Remake was a clever remake. 4 Remake, like, parrying was clever, but that's it. So I can't... It doesn't get the respect 2 Remake does. Cool. That was fun. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you next time.